Hello, everyone. This is East Coast Economic Update for February the 25th, 2010. Just a couple of items, but I thought they were very interesting. Um, Durable goods orders have dropped dramatically, and apparently has sent the market into a tailspin. Um, Basically, what we've all known all along is that the fact that people are not buying large purchases like cars or washing machines unless they absolutely have to. People are still going to buy. Um, Welcome to a 1927 building with steam heat. People are going to continue to buy cars and washing machines and TV sets and stuff when they break down. Now, this brings us back to the old 1950s, 1960s. Keep it, wear it out, break it down, and then finally buy a new one because the old one works just as fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is the old adage my father used to say. If it works, it works. When it stops working, then we'll get a new one. So that's another sign behind the other sign, which is the American citizen is no longer a consumer and is paying off his or her debt. And it's kind of funny. It's a schizophrenic situation. I was listening to NPR. I was listening to NPR, and they were praising people for saving. And at the same time, they turned around and they said, but we need the consumer to start to spend for the recovery to happen. Well, you can't have it both ways. Because right now, we're at a crossroads between the Keynesian model, we have spending, the consumer is the Keynesian model, and the Austrian economic model, which is to save. So the funny thing is that we're at a crossroads. The American people are going towards Austrian economics and saving they're paying down their debt. The savings rate includes when you pay down any kind of excess debt. So we haven't really saved anything. When that point comes, if that point comes, when we actually start to put money in a bank and start saving, the government of the United States is going to have to shift from the Keynesian model to the Austrian model. It'll have no other choice because the American people will hold um, basically the economy hostage because it won't spend money unless it absolutely needs to, and will keep putting its money away in the hopes that, well, in the understanding that having money in the back in case one loses one's job or one has lost one's job and now just got a new one or whatever. Uh, this is going to hold the American government hostage. Uh, Kind of converse to what happens in the Greek, what's going on in the Greek, and that's also what's causing a lot of pressure downwards on the markets. You have 99% of the people who live and work in Greece on are federal employees. So, and they're being asked to draw. They're asking for 20% pay cuts. These people have everything. They have this safety net of they don't even have to work. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was listening to a friend of mine whose family is Greek and they live in Greece, and it's just it's a if anybody's ever read Kafka, what Greece is Kafkaesque. In other words, what's left is right, right is left. If you want to work, the union doesn't want you. And if you want a job, the only way you're going to be able to have a job is if you work for the government. And if you work for the government, you can't really work because then you'll make everybody else look bad. That's the Greek government in short. It's probably most of Europe, other than probably Germany and probably France to a large extent, but that's pretty scary. So, also wanted to throw out to everyone that the new home sales came out yesterday, and they were the lowest in 50 years. Um, I want to make a comment about Case-Shiller. Case-Shiller Index. I don't know. These two guys. when they started doing the Case-Shiller Index, I thought it was a very smart way of measuring whatever uh, how housing is going up or going down. Out of safety reasons, they're measuring, January from January to February instead of looking, from the year before and comparing, everybody else does. It's February 2010. Let's see what happened in February 2009. Let's see if we go up and down. If you do that with the Case-Shiller Index, actually, we're down 30% on whole for housing. Housing sales are down. The prices are down by 30%. So you do the math. You have a $400,000 home. You're pretty much underwater. They've already announced that 1/4 of American people who own their home, so 1 in 4 that own their home, are completely underwater. So it's kind of interesting that Case-Shiller insists going from January 2010 and February 2010 to show an increase. They've shown a 10-month increase, month from month from month from month, not from month year to date. So it's a scam. And early on, people were buying into the scam. Now people are not, and it won't be long before people are going to ignore Case-Shiller speaking about this January to February thing and look at the year to date, which has not been going up. In fact, it's been going down. It's been holding steady around 30%. So it's not a pretty sight. Housing is going. Of course, by 2011, the resets will start with the. I'm always going to look like a mess. I was going to start with the commercials. I mean, at this point, I feel like. I just feel like some guy who goes, and here comes the next bomb. I'm beyond PTSD and shell shock here. It's just, here it comes. You've dialed it out of your head. It's a sad situation. And the saddest part is that the American people are the average American person is starting to react to the way we were reacting a year ago. But they're not, they're moving slowly. And unfortunately, they're going to continue to move slowly. But the good news, if it is good news, it's bad news for retailers. But there is pretty much the death of the consumer is over. And I'm hoping for a Keynesian, I'm looking for an Austrian reaction. They're going to. I honestly believe that by 2012, if people do start to save money and actually put them in the bank or into your mattress or whatever, you're going to have people on mainstream media going, we need to get these people to start spending their money. And they're going to be, and that's the Keynesian way. And they're going to be hamstrung. The whole government is going to be hamstrung because they're going to want to throw money at a problem, but they won't have any money because the money's going to be in your mattress. And everybody's, we're going to be like the Chinese with a 30% savings rate. The Russians are already up to a 15% savings rate. So, what is that telling us? And they've been through a default with the IMF. They know what trouble is. So, I leave you with these few articles and these thoughts. So, be aware. Europe is going to be concerned because it's pouring light on the amount of deficits that we're doing to ourselves. And it's putting light on the fact that we have $63 trillion in unfunded debt, and we're only bringing in about $8 or $9 trillion in income, and that's probably going to be even less this year. So just be aware of that, because I think people are the Chinese particularly, are staring at that problem. It's becoming very real to them. All right, folks. Peace.